And we did about over a decade in Atlanta, Georgia.
I was
had
hoping
two
you
kids.
Connect to politics. Because
That's how the politics came in.
In US?
In US, I had
okay.
2 kids, and the last one was 1. But I was very active in church. There's a church in Atlanta called All Nations. So I was always the one doing the announcements for church activities. I was very involved in church. It was a Ghanaian church, Pastor Frank. So whenever Ghanaian dignitaries will come to Atlanta, the metropolitan area, they will ask for people to like do the MC, meet them. And I was also active in Ghanaian associations. So one day out of the blue, I get a phone call from the president of the Ghana Association in Atlanta that there's some ministers. Until then, I didn't even know the word minister in the US was a man of God, you know, because it's Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Agriculture. So it says some ministers have arrived at Martin Luther King Center, and we would want for you to go and do the hosting and meet them. And when I got there, that was the first time I met Mrs. Oboshie Sai-Cofie and Jake Utanka. So that was my foray into politics. So me, I'm, you know, living my life in Atlanta. I'm a US citizen. I have 3 kids. We're all happy with a husband. And then I did my thing, you know, like speaking, welcoming them, letting them do the Q&A, telling Ghanaians about Kufuor's government. So after this, I still have the picture, the first picture I took with Oboshie, Madam. After this whole episode, she called me to the side and said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Atlanta." You know, I had that attitude. "I'm from Atlanta." She goes, "No. Where are you from?"
Fikena Cho.
Fikena Cho. Davi Baroku Fikena Cho. So I was like, she wants to know me. So I said, "Oh, I'm from Western region." I said, "Where?" So I'm from Zima area.
That's where you're from.
That's where I'm from. It's okay. And she said, "I think it would be good if you were to join us in Ghana. We're experimenting with spokespersons, and we would need a female, you know, we're doing spokespersons for government, the way cabinet is structured, infrastructure, economy, finance, and governance." And she's from the Ministry of Information. She thinks, she likes what she sees in me. And I was like, "What, Ghana?" She said, "Yeah, I've lived here." She had also been a diaspora. She was in the US for quite a bit. And then she was like, "I've lived here, but you'll be more relevant. When you come home, you have leverage." I was like, "Okay, let me discuss with my family." I'm intrigued. And the short story of it is I went home, spoke to my darling, Mr. Afeku. My last one is a year old. We're just getting to do his birthday party. And I said, "Well, I met this beautiful, Mrs. Oboshie is so beautiful. This beautiful lady and this tall giant guy, you know, they're ministers, and she wants me to come and join them at the Ministry of Information." I was like, "Okay, my husband is my uncle." From the day he said, "When you grow up, I'll marry you," he has extreme loyalty. He said, "If that's what you want to do, myself and the kids will be here for a year and watch you. If it works out, we will join you."
So
very few men will do that.
Plugged you
from obscurity.
And you had the support of your husband.
My husband and my children.
And since then, you've become the state woman you are.
And
now.
I never look back. Tonight, after your program, I'm actually having a little dinner with her. I'll be going to her house. So I'm still loyalty. I still remember where I came from. I was just doing my thing in Atlanta, you know, just working. I worked for an IT company, Active Group, and I was doing a lot of business. I was director for sales.
I have to take you back. I'm sorry. At what point did the World Bank come in?
That was in Washington. Yeah, when I got to America, that had been almost 10 years. We lived first in Virginia, so I worked at the IFC. As a matter of fact, my direct boss at the IFC is the GIIF boss, Solomon Asamoah. Yes.
Okay.
He was in charge of the capital markets, and I worked directly under him.
Okay, so let's stay on politics a bit.
Yeah, so that's how I got into Ghana. That's how I became spokesperson on infrastructure. Remember, I was still a US citizen, so I was always like, I could go back anytime if it didn't work out. But I enjoyed it, you know. I didn't know much about the politics, to be honest. I did crash course. I would wake up at 3 a.m. I met the guy, the white guy who did Ghana Web, and a Ghanaian. One was in Holland, one was in Finland. And I will speak to them, so they will give me the information. So you have to put in effort. You just don't up and become, you work at it. I will get up at 3 a.m., read everything, everything before you get on air. I was always, going the Peace FM with the Kwesi Prats, TV Africa, Metro. So back in 2005, 2006, I was a mainstay on national television, but I had to read. Remember, my mom gave me a legacy, reading. So you read, you get the newspapers. While was that graphic back then. So I was always getting the data, and I became so immersed in facts and figures of Kufuor's government.
Many women